And it's like some idiot so want to stop them from get a piece of the pie. Oh, I'm to no disrespect, gonna go and die. Yeah, me now. Kia Bamba, them up dubs, we play fast, I play slow, them up flows. Like nobody knows, them kill soul, a sound clash and dance.
And he's in just on time. Boom.
Welcome back,
Slid in like a jet.
friends on a power day. We are
No friends on a powder day.
No friends,
No
but-
friends on a powder day.
no friends, but this is only friends, Steve.
Only friends.
Only friends. Oh, it's the irony.
It's the irony.
Right.
Correct.
Because there's a great saying that I learned in St Anton in the pub when the girls wanted to take home, you know, if you can't keep up with me tonight, love, you'll never keep up with me tomorrow. So
So there we
Spoken
go.
like a true downhill racer.
We are completely honoured to have probably Australia's most successful downhill, well, definitely I'd say Australia's most successful downhill skier, true royalty, Steve Lee, and other royalty, Mr. Pete Foras, XTM,
second most successful downhill.
Second one.
after Malcolm Mill.
just after his mate.
Malcolm Mill was
I'll be third.
number one.
XTM, creator, owner, legend, all around good bloke. And of course, Maddie, my wonderful co-host.
Part-time co-host.
Thank you, gents. It's Thursday of trade show. We're all a bit tired.
Matty's got his clutch.
I take him off and I turn into someone completely different. As soon as I leave the couch, fly away.
Stoked to have you boys on here for a chat. You guys are obviously the best of mates. Grew up skiing together,
Yeah.
chasing the World Cup circuit around the world. Steve, Pete, tell us a little bit about life when you guys were growing up, starting racing, and how it evolved.
I think we met when we were about probably 13 or 14 years old.
So a couple of years ago, Steve.
Well,
Couple of years
Steve
ago.
was the
Last
enigma.
week,
He was
yeah.
the enigma from Falls Creek in all reality. You were the
From the ghetto.
from the ghetto of Falls Creek. Everyone used to talk about Steve as this like wonder child coming out, and
Enigma.
he was, and he came to Bull. I remember the day he came for the Vic Champs, and he might have been 17. I'm a couple of years younger, and we were in awe. I don't know if you remember this, that you
You know, the race where I hooked the tip.
hooked a tip, did a barrel roll, somehow still ran to a run. So did a barrel roll, land on his skis like a cat, made the next gate, and still won the run, which was so yeah, that was welcome to Steve Lee. It was like, yeah, everything they talked about him, it was true. We were lucky enough to be on the same era and the same team.
Yeah, it
and
was a good crew. Our era was,
the best.
I've said it many times, we're very good mates, super competitive, but support each other 100%.
Yeah.
A win for one was a win for all.
Yeah. And Steve won most of them.
Crash or no crash.
Steve was just taking one for the team, right?
Yeah.
No, it was a good day. So yeah, it was a young bunch of group. Yeah, we got
Perfect.
It's a real war of attrition. It's like, you start off with this pool of mates at club level. I was full of race stuff. Steve's Falls Creek, no doubt. And then you just get whittled. You get whittled at state champs and then national champs, and you make a team, you go overseas and you go through the whole FIS thing, the international, and you're starting out at the low levels, and you just get...
doing the FIS tour is like a mech run. I still remember my first FIS race in Austria when I was maybe 16. Went to some town down in Steiermark, I think in the flatlands of Austria, the Alps. And we got there in the middle of the night after driving from, I think we'd been up on a glacier training, and drove for 7 or 8 hours and turned up in this little town and got out of the car, and I also remember it was the smell of cow shit. There was no snow, no snow in this place. There was no snow. We got out and there's grass and in the bare car park. How are we going to race here? There's no snow. And wake up the next morning and there's hardly any. There's a couple of little hills around. And so the race hill there, this is my first FIS race, was a little hill on the edge of this town, and there's no snow there. They literally turned a tap on at the top of the hill, so it was cold, and just let water cascade down the hill. It was 6 inches of clear ice you could see through to the grass.
I hope your edges were sharp.
So I was starting in the early days of FIS race, 137 or something. After about 100 guys, the ice break in the first 6 turns down to the rocks. So you trash your edges in the first, and then you come into the pitch and just... And I was standing on the side of this course going, this is fucking impossible. There's no way this... How do you just can't ski this. It's not skiing. It can't be done. And then about late 120s, this young Austrian kid came down and just the fucking bag out of it. I hope we're allowed to swear on this track.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
Laid down this run, we were all just sitting there aghast, and he ended up finishing top 10, and he was 17, same age as me. Christian Orlansky, his name was. He ended up being one of the best World Cups, like came through like a fucking atom bomb.
Yeah,
World
right.
Cup, won a bunch of World Cups and burnt out pretty quick, but he was an amazing young racer. But he just laid down this run. I'm going, I guess it is possible.
It
From
is-
that
it is
moment on, I thought
possible.
Nothing's impossible.
And that's what you had to do to break through in Europe. You actually
Yeah.
had to win, or you had to place and place top 20, 30, whatever from back in the field.
Yeah, of
through all
course.
that crap. Then you get better race starts. Then you get to go. You make it to the Europa Cup, and then
And
you
it
go
starts again.
Do you reckon it makes it harder or easier being from Australia, where there's probably less competition, but as such, there's maybe less opportunity and
Yeah,
less talent
both.
versus
So
being in
you had
Europe
time
where
to-
it's hectic?
We had time to sort of develop. It
Yeah.
wasn't as cutthroat. So if you're an Austrian, you didn't make it by the time you're 15. You were
Done.
Herman Meyer's
Yeah.
the perfect story. So at 15, he hadn't shown much potential.
We came back like an atom bomb as well.
Yeah. So Herman was a young little kid, didn't show potential as a kid, got dropped out of the program.
Did he?
And then there was a Girardelli is another example. Captain Art, one of the greatest of all time. Didn't show potential, got dropped out of the Austrian program. So his dad left Austria and he went and raced for Luxembourg, one of the greatest World Cup races of all time.
Yeah, right.
Captain Ark, as we nicknamed.
Captain Ark.
But yeah, Herman was out of the program, wasn't in the Austrian ski team at all. At 16, his old man was the manager of a little ski hill in Austria, somewhere near the atomic factory, and they had a Europa Cup race there, and his dad said, I want Herman to forerun, and the Austrian coach said, no, we've got enough guys to forerun. In Austria, it's always competitive. There's always some town fucking numpty that
Everyone reckons he's the next guy.
the world champion.
Should've-
Anyway, so the old man said, so the coach is going, all right. So they let this kid, and Herman comes down, rumor, or the legend has it that he goes past all the coaches going, Jesus, can we get a time for that guy? So he ended up, he would have.
Fastest on the day.
Yeah, fast on the day. And then they then invited him to a camp to see if he just skied fast because he knew the hill so well. And he ended up proving his chops and went straight into the Austrian team. And
Turned into a beast.
Yeah, went off to his first fish races in South America, and not having any world rankings, he was starting at the back of the pack and just tore through the field and
smashed him.
became the Herminator.
Became the Herminator.
That is
Totally.
awesome.
That's sick.
Yeah, so out of nowhere, out of the system, and just found a way through. As great sports people do, they find a way.
Have you
It's
boys
epic.
got like a special memory or event or something that really sticks out in those early days that you did, or Steve won and you cheered him along, Pete, or something where you both performed really well, or something that really like is special? Early days special?
The core memory.
Core memories
core
when
memory.
he won the World Cup in Forras. It was like a massive breakthrough. We hadn't won a World Cup in Alpine since Malcolm Milner.
Yeah.
69.
Yeah,
Yeah,
69.
right.
And what year was it in Forras?
80.
Oh, don't pretend like you don't know, Steve.
84, I think.
It was euphoric. Steve was knocking on the door. He was in first seed by that stage at downhill, but it actually ended up being in Super G.
Yeah, right.
Did you get some power in Ferrano as well,
Oh,
or
fuck
not?
yeah. I like to say we pioneered the powder skiing.
So you raced, got that
So
done.
we're in Forano. So the first couple of days, there's a bunch of us in walk. So when I got to walk up, and I started off as slalom as a tech skier, and then quickly found downhill was going to be my forte.
You're a bit more rock
Cup,
star.
there's a
Something a bit
bunch of-
faster.
Yeah, it was just you got to spend a week in each resort rather than coming in for a night and racing, then leaving the next afternoon. But also, it was probably a little bit looser the downhill scene than the slaloms, yes. But I got to walk up, and there's a bunch of very like-minded chaps to me that love free skiing and love powder skiing.
Love to be
So,
here.
so we got to Japan and powder Mecca, and so the Canadian boys, a couple of American boys, a couple of French boys, one or two of the German guys, we had this squad that would just go out and warm up in the powder whenever there was powder snow.
Sick.
So we're in Ferrano and
It's on T23s too.
Yeah,
Fuck,
testing
yeah.
your Super G turns.
The original big volume skiers, 223 downhill boards. We had to tape up the holes in the tips so you didn't get your face blown off by a barrage of snow. But we're skiing out, so we were told we weren't allowed to ski out of bounds. So on the side of the runs in those days, there's like a groom line, then a metre ridge up into the powder, and probably maybe a 10-metre gap between the run and the woods and the trees. And it was just like untouched snow. And we're like, we've got to get into that. So
Give me
we're
some
off
of that.
skiing, and there's a line of poles down with a ball on top, green on one side, red on the other, and we're on the red side. skiing down. And then at the team captains meeting that night, the the Japanese head of the resort touring your arsehole and all the coach. Your skiers cannot ski off the runs. And we're going, we weren't off the runs. We were just on the other side of the pole.
Just inside.
We weren't in, So then we got in trouble for that and we said, oh, we'll just may as well fuck off right into the trees.
Double down.
We went truly off into the woods and
You can't see us in there.
see us in there, but there's, they have the speakers there. And so the first 2 days it was a World Cup of skier over the speakers, and we thought, oh, they're welcoming the World Cup skiers, and what they're actually saying is World Cup skiers, get out of the fucking tree, get back on the piste. So they stitched us up one day. We were out warming up one morning. It was with a couple of American buddies, and we're you go on high speed, doing high speed turns, warming up, down a perfect groomer, and then went over a roller straight into a mogul field. So they hadn't groomed on the other side of it.
Oh,
And I think I was the one that
disaster.
made the bottom. There was a
Just dead over it.
fair bit of carnage.
In Ferrano during that
No,
win.
No, we were all still back in Europe.
On the telly?
Yeah. It was amazing for the team. As he said, a win for all. And, my moment was, I think I won the Brit Championships in Kumbaya. You went to that one. That was GS of all things.
Yeah.
But, I had a lot of the press. And it's just always good winning in Europe or against, when
Europeans.
it's just like you go and you win over there, you really know you've earned it.
Yeah.
Kind of sets you up for the rest of, everything else we did. But it was good.
Yeah, so the win in Japan was, I'd been skiing really well, and I'd done pretty well at the World Champs in '84. Got 9th in the downhill in Bormio, and it was actually winning run. I was on a winning run apart from one turn, which I completely fucked up. Just came in so hot and jumped in deep and had to save myself from hitting the fence. There's no nets, I think. It was just a picket fence. So I just chucked on the anchors and somehow made it around this turn. And I was on the podium for every split apart from that turn. And then we went from there to a race in Austria. And so I was skiing really well, and saying we did this race in Austria, and I was having a blinder and screwed up the last turn, and off the jump somehow landed on my foot and finished 6th or something. And I think that was my first World Cup points. Then we went from there to Japan, and I knew I was skiing well enough to win a World Cup at that
Some point.
Yeah. So you wish and you hope your whole life. And the great line in the Chasing the Line, the Franz Bar movie was, if you're going to win, you don't hope, you don't wish,
Yeah.
Until you get to that point where you know you're going to win, you never will. And that race in Japan, I remember clearly saying at the start, walking into the start area, and there's Zurbriggen and Girardelli and all the Austrian team and Swiss team, and I'm just walking past and going, no, you guys have got no chance today. There's so much confidence.
I've got this. This is mine. Yeah.
Well, just so much confidence. And I had no doubt when I pushed out of the start that I wasn't going to win.
There you're going to
So
win.
I thought I was going to win the downhill, which was the day before. And so the downhill got hit, famous Japanese flurry of snow. As the first guy went out of start gate, this heavy snowstorm came over the back of the mountains. And Todd Brooker, who was my head teammate, and we'd gone first and second every training run. So we knew that whichever one laid a good run down would win the race, more than likely.
Whoever didn't make a mistake.
Yeah. So Todd's in the first set, and I'm still not in the first set yet. I was starting on my world ranking, which I think was about 17 or 18, which was absolute primo for that course, because more guys that go down it. It was a pretty straight. There's a few technical sections, but in downhill, the straights get faster and the turns get a little bit slower. So if you can manage the turns fast and then you hit the straights when they get a bit of glaze on them, away you go. So I'm in the sweet spot for the.
So basically, it's a ball.
Todd was
it's
in
a
first.
balls thing. That downhill kind of racing. It's like who's got the balls to.
Well, I'm very keen to understand where that phrase came from, because I don't see anything having big steel balls in a downhill suit would be horrible.
I feel like
Particularly if you're rolling around like a cat.
But I feel like for that to be the fastest.
If anyone knows where that phrase come from, you must have a big set of balls, because you can do something that other people can't.
Heavy balls, makes you faster. I don't know. And
That's my podcast, the origin.
the origin of steel balls.
someone needs to get to us in the YouTube comments or something with where the history of that's come from.
The history of where having big balls made you gutsy.
Very insightful, Steve.
Now, I'll tell you.
Drawn an interesting bow there, Steve. I like it.
I want to segue to that. That frees the balls off a brass monkey.
Yeah.
Came from in the old days when they were shooting cannons on battleships, and the cannons were thick steel, and when it got cold, the steel would contract and the cannonballs would get stuck in the barrel and explode and blow up the ship. So they used to sit a brass monkey, and the brass has a different freezing, as it gets colder earlier or freezes earlier, and so they had these little monkeys, brass monkeys, that sit on the cannons and with these balls, and when the balls would stick together, they knew it was too cold to put a cannonball in the down the tube. So if you froze the balls of a brass monkey, you didn't load up the gas monkey. I just found it somewhere. Yeah, they just freeze the balls of a brass monkey, and so it came from shooting cannons.
Every day's a school day, and I've learned something today, so that's
Yeah, but I
fantastic.
never found out where the phrase "you must have a big set of balls to be able to race down" or whatever.
Hey, but Alpine's
Yeah.
all about, you never starting downhill. Alpine's all about you learn
And to be honest, when you stand in the start of a downhill, your balls are so far tucked up in you. Gnarly breed.
So downhill is the last thing that you.
Yeah, if
that
you,
you get
if
to.
you
Yeah.
master slalom and giant slalom, and they'll trial you in downhill, you either like it or you don't like it. And the guys that it's too much for them.
Yeah,
They don't have the balls for it.
Basically,
It's adrenaline, right? It's a big adrenaline.
Well, it is a
thing.
huge adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
So at Kissville, for instance, the highest heartbeat, your heart rate peaks about 10 seconds before you start.
Yeah.
Because you can just feel the adrenaline just surging through your body. Because it's
That's
such a
gnarly.
gnarly start. The first 40 seconds, Kissville is like, oh, wow.
I'm going
That's
to
why it's the
fucking
rock
send
star
it.
version
Well,
of
you have to,
the
otherwise you
disciplines.
don't make it.
Yeah.
A lot of skiers just don't have where it's mental capacity. I think it's mental capacity to be able to deal with the speed, and things are coming at you so fast, and there's so much chatter going on in your brain. Like you're tucking down a slope into a turn or into a jump, and your subconscious is screaming at you to fucking stand up and slow down. You know, what the fuck are you doing? You can't go too fast. You know,
and then
you
That's
learn to
hectic.
override that.
oh man,
So, well, you have to override that background noise in your head to be able to
Win. Yeah.
take it on and go fast. And
but how addictive is it, Steve?
oh yeah. Once you get
Compared to
comfortable,
doing slalom, giant
when you
which
get
is
comfortable
beautiful.
with the speed,
a drug.
you've got a whole mountain for yourself to go. Absolutely pin it, you know.
And they set up jumps so that you get massive air, like massive air at speed, and then compressions. You're getting your body contorted.
G-forces.
G-forces, and then
Yeah,
you got to make
G-force,
a
so yeah.
turn,
So
but
you
it's
have
a
to be
nice,
strong, yeah.
long, elongated turn. Man, it's
Was
rough.
there? Were you boys like? What was like? You know, I would say now the training programs that these guys have are insane,
Yeah.
right? Like, and they have access to all these different resources, all these
Yeah.
training facilities. Is it a bit?
Well,
but
we
then you
got-
look at
we
something
got
like
access to
surfing, where
these
there was
trainings
no
in
training back in the day.
Early days.
Were you guys training hard on that stuff? Or yeah?
Were you
Or just
like,
skiing,
or
or
were
just
you
skiing.
more, or were you more like David Byrne drinking beers on the
Yeah,
plane?
yeah.
No,
Were you skiing for training, or were you doing all the other?
had to do a
yeah,
lot
doing
of
all the other
skiing.
stuff. They did. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
so
we got into the Institute of Sport as a national team and went up there for a training program, and that was our first sort of. We were tested in all the sports science stuff, and they tested us for vertical leap and speed and power and all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
There was science behind it.
yeah,
You weren't
early-
David
early
Byrne.
days.
it was
science.
rudimentary.
Yeah.
Even the weight training wasn't anywhere near as sophisticated. As
Yeah.
this.
It's obviously got way more.
But there was a lot of military stuff. Like we had the Swiss coach, Jan Tischhauser. Oh God, he would
Yeah, it
take
was like
you through
boot camp.
boot camp things.
Yeah.
He'd take you to vomiting stage. You know, daily. He would
Yeah.
take you to a
Yeah,
limit
good.
you'd never known, and we hated it. But you kind of look back at it and you go, "Fuck,
You're thinking for it. Yeah.
Made you stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, so our strength training that time, we had a camp in Lawn,
yeah."
and Jan had three of us pushing the Team Subaru up the hills of Lawn. As our
Sounds
power and strength
sounds
training.
horrendous.
So we'd brag into teams of, I think 2 teams of 3, and Jan would be in the steering the car, and we'd be at the back pushing this. And Lawn's pretty steep hills there.
It is.
So he made us push the team car up the hills, and that was our strength training. for the
military,
day.
freaking military stuff.
Wow,
Fun.
Yeah.
that's wild.
But then, so I was fortunate to Jan again organised for me to go and train the Swiss team.
Yeah.
Who had the best top 12 in the world, top 10 in the world. They had 9 guys in the top 10 in the world at that point in time. They were the best downhill team in the world. And it was a deal done, which I found out later, that they came to the Southern Hemisphere to do ski training and had heard about this training institute of sport. It just opened and had the best sports science program in the world. So they came to Australia, and Jan got the Swiss team in to
Push
do
cars
all
up
their, do all
hills.
their physical testing and learnt so they had this. So they went and did all this testing on their physical to get a baseline, what your physical ability, where you were physically, and
Capabilities.
in return for that, they took guys into the. So you went with the tech team,
I went in the B team.
Yeah.
And you went.
and I got thrown in with the A team, which was. So I'm pretty ripe as a young downhiller at that point in time, and so I turn up for training, and there's Peter Mueller and the top Urs Raber, Heinz, yeah, so the best skiers in the world, and myself and 2 Japanese guys were there as invited participants for the pre-season training camp. And I was pretty excited, pretty pumped to be in amongst these guys, and not one of them said it. I trained with them for 3 months. The first year, not one of them said a single word to me for 3 months. And I didn't know why. I thought just being an outsider, maybe I don't speak German. I didn't speak much German. I spoke a little bit of German, but literally just cold shoulder for 3 months straight. Years later, I was at Wengen when I was getting top 10 finishes, and Outerwear, who was the number 1 guy on the team when I joined that period, and he came up and congratulated me and said, you're doing really well. So he was chief of race for Wengen World Cup, and I was in the race office, and he invited me to come out and we walk around Wengen town for a little bit, and he was talking to me. I thought they didn't talk to me because I didn't speak German. They didn't speak English. So here I am 5 or 6 years later walking around with Outerwear, and he's speaking to me in English.
What was the deal with the cold shoulder 5 years ago? Didn't get to the bottom of why?
He said, well, we were the best skiers in our country. Switzerland was enough. And he said it was so hard to make the national team, and then you rock up with no. We saw no reason why you should
no cred.
You didn't have the accreditation at that
be able
point.
to train at that level. Why you should be invited to train with us, and how hard you said you don't understand how hard it was for a Swiss kid to make it to the Swiss team. You don't know how it was for an Aussie.
For an Aussie to make it.
I didn't grow up in your mountains.
Fair point.
And he looked at me and then I said, why didn't you talk to me? He said, we didn't think you should be there. So all the races made a pact that we wouldn't talk to these guys that were invited to train with us.
Wow.
And it was interesting. So we came to this sort of understanding. And I thought, well, that's probably fair enough. If the boot was on the other foot, maybe I wouldn't have spoken to him. I don't know. But my earliest greatest memory was at Wengen when I had my first top 10 finish. And the same guys that hadn't said a word to me all pre-season, I've been with them for 3 months all pre-season, race further, and then we're at the toughest World Cups on the tour. And I beat the whole team. I got 6th place in my first top 10 finish and was ahead of the whole Swiss team. And they were all standing in the corral as you walk out of the finish area, all patting me on the back saying, well done, Steve, shaking my hand. So
the first words you got out of them were, well done, after you placed in the top 10. Couldn't get a hello prior.
Kinship in downhill, especially in alpine skiing, it's such a dangerous sport that if crew are doing well, everyone's concerned if someone crashes. Apart from the Japanese boys, they would laugh when one of their teammates would crash. Some sort of kamikaze mentality lag over. But I remember one of the first World Cups being at the top, and I was mates with the Japanese guys because we've been training together at Swiss team, and one of their boys crashed, and word came up that he broke his legs, and the 3 Japanese guys at the top they were all just pissing themselves laughing that their teammate had broken his leg.
Rough. Sounds more cutthroat than the Swiss team.
Sadistic bastards. But getting to World Cup downhill it's a trip. So you watch all these amazing races on TV and you think, oh yeah, and Kitzbühel especially. So you'd watch the first few races and the guys are all carving it up, and then Kitzbühel, they just look like Saudi.
Is that the gnarliest? Is that the gnarliest one?
So the first 40 seconds of Kitzbühel is the gnarliest thing you can do on skis. So you stand in the start gate. Within 2 seconds of leaving the start gate, you're doing 130 k's an hour.
Shitting your pants.
No, you're doing confidence.
The Lycra's holding it all in.
Righto.
But you stand in the start gate and you're looking through your start tips at the town in the valley below, and it's like 50 degrees out of the gate, and you accelerate from 0 to 100. So we accelerate faster than an F1 car in downhill. So 0 to 130 clicks in.
Really? Is that an actual stat? You accelerate faster in a World Cup downhill than you do in a F1 car.
In the state. Gravity is a hell of an engine.
That's pretty psycho.
Yeah, so out of start gate, you're doing 120 clicks in about 1.5 seconds, and then you get a slight left-hand turn into a little compression, then off the mousetrap jump, which is one of the biggest jumps in World Cup, at a 60-metre fly.
Into a compression.
And then, land that, and then straight into about a 4G compression, and then a left-hand turn. So what I found out was...
Still remembers it perfectly, right?
Absolutely.
He's still racing it in his head.
I could close my eyes and do a run down Kitzbühel and be within a couple of seconds of whatever my time was when I raced it. Still, it's just so ingrained in your head. So you have to learn.
That's cool.
With downhill, you have to learn all the left and rights with all the terrain, because you got to work the terrain. If you're hitting bumps and slapping off bumps, you're going it slows you down. So you got to absorb and pump through the bumps. But that first 40 seconds downhill, and I had another one of my lucky breaks in ski racing. So my first ski instructor when I was a kid at Falls Creek was an Austrian guy, Bernty, who anyone that rode at Threadbow would know Bernty's Lodge. Bernty was at Falls for many years, from the early 60s, and then worked at Falls for about 10 years. So he was my very first ski instructor when I was 2 years old, taught me how to parallel. Well, when I was 2 years old, 2.5 years old, he said to Mum and Dad, even he's too old to be snowploughing.
But he'll win at Ferrano in 84.
So years later, I get to World Cup, and the number 1 ranked guy in the world was this guy called Uli Spiess. Best skier, pioneered jumping the camels in Val Gardena, which is a great story as well. So at the World Cup, and the first World Cup inspection I'm going down, there's this Austrian guy, and I knew who he was. He was the best down in the world. I'm a rookie, and Uli Spears always sitting beside me. And every section we come to, he'd tell me how to, what the line was and how to take it on. And so about 4 races in, we're at the camel jumps. So the camel jumps in Val Gardena was a section, gnarly section in all of the World Cup. It's a really high speed set of jumps that were like two big rollers, hence the camel jumps. And Uli had been a ski jumper in his younger day, and then he got too big to ski jump. Then he switched over to alpine. But from his ski jumping heritage, it had been talked about that if you could jump from the second to the third camel, it should be faster.
Wow.
Or quite possibly. Because it was such a rough ride, you couldn't tuck through it. You all over, just survival. So Uli did the sort of maths in his head, and that with his ski jumping knowledge of how to take, where to take off. And it was 70 meters from the takeoff point of the second camel to the landing point on the third camel.
Third.
And if you didn't make 70 meters,
into the back of the...
You'd land on the nut, and your knees and your ankles would go through your ears. Or your shins would go up through your arsehole.
Make sure you pop correctly.
So it was critical that if you were going to jump, you had to clear the distance. And to clear the distance, you had to be doing 140 k's an hour.
Oh my God.
So I'm standing there again, Uli's next to me, and he's saying, you're a good enough skier, you should jump this. You're a good enough skier to jump this, and that's the fastest way to do it and the safest way. But you have to
commit.
He said, but you have to convince yourself in the start gate before you leave that you can do it.
That you're going to do it.
You don't decide on the way down,
You're already doing it.
And I said to him, Uli, what's helping? He said, for my uncle Bertie. So his uncle was...
Oh, no way. That's epic.
Yeah, it was amazing. For my uncle Bertie.
Did you send it?
I sent it, yeah. So I was the third guy ever to jump the camels.
Third guy to jump the camels.
Yeah. Coach is going, okay, don't do it, Steve.
Don't do it. So Uncle Bertie's going, send it.
Yeah, it was the only time my coach ever went against what I thought I should do.
Yeah, right.
And I ended up I'm the start, and he's just doing my heading, saying, no one's jumping this year. Don't jump. Because you could ski around them. The outside line was about 2 seconds slower. And I decided already I'm going to jump. But
you need to win it.
Yarn's just in my head, just, it's not jumpable this year. And depending on how fast the course was. And so I ended up just turning the radio on and sticking it in the bag and just ignored him.
That was that. See you later, Yarn.
That's amazing.
And then I went to the Canadian guys, and so there was Uli jumped that year. There was a second year it had been jumpable, was fast enough to jump. So in that race, Uli jumped, and there was another young Canadian the same age as me, Gary Athens, who was an up-and-coming young crazy Canuckin. So he jumped, and so we were standing on the camels, and Uli gave us both the intel and then took us free skiing. He had this jump set up on this area up on the top for a warm-up, and he had to sort of jump these
practice.
Two humps on this paddock. So Uli gave us all the intel on it, and he said to both, you're both up and coming young downhills, World Cup downhills, and you're good enough. This is how you do it, and this is what you should do. And so I came down. The section above the camels is really gnarly, steep, off camber turn called the Mauer, the wall. It's shared ice and goes from sunshine on the flats into the forest. So you sort of go from broad daylight to dark almost. So your eyes have to adjust, and you come around this side hill. And in training, you know the camels are coming, so if you fuck it up, you're not too fussed because you're going to lose a bunch of Ks, and so you're not going to hit the camels at full blast. You're going a bit slow, and you go
be happy about it.
To the side where they're not quite as gnarly. But to jump them, you had to nail this section. And Uli said, if you don't nail them now, then don't jump.
Don't try.
Because you won't have the speed. So, which is awesome. So you come into this really gnarly section. I have to fucking pin this. So you come in and really focus. And so in the run, in the race, I pinned the mare, and then you come off this jump, down this really steep pitch onto dead flat. And it's kind of sunny, a little bit sunny into the woods down there. And I think I was starting 120 or something. So there's 118 tracks going to the left.
Two going to the
two tracks going to the right, which was Uli and Gary, because Gary was about 7 or 8 runners in front of me. So I took a big breath as I'm going down this pitch, and I go, okay, I've committed.
Send it.
And I followed the 2 tracks to the right.
Let's go.
So the last training round, I tried to absorb and hit the third camel so hard I jarred my back. And I said to Jan, if I'm going to race, I'm going to have to jump because I can't take another hit. My back's too sore.
You have to send it, and I'm going to have to make it.
So I see there's 2 tracks, so I go to the right, and I'd already convinced myself, so there's no doubt. And Uli said, when you come off the now, you got to be on the right-hand side, not on the left-hand side. So I go down, and so it's a sort of step-off jump off the first. You come off the flats and a step down, and you fly maybe 30 meters off that, then into this little compression, and there's no actual lip. It sort of just rolls away. So all he said, there's a gate on your right-hand side halfway through the compression. He said, when that gate goes by your ears, it goes by your vision, you jump as hard as you can. He said, jump as hard as you can.
Oh my
And
God. And how far? You going 140 Ks an hour?
140, yeah. And then you jump, and then the ground just disappears from you. So you go from on the ground to 20 meters in the air instantly. And you can just see the tree tops going by your ears, you know. But as soon as I left the ground, I could see you can sort of have a sense.
You're going to make
You
it.
knew you were going to make it.
I knew I'd cleared it, and I could see the landing.
Good feeling.
This is fucking epic.
Yeah.
So I still kept me, and
Sick.
then the other thing, you had to keep a nice aerodynamic position in the air so you didn't air brake and drop out of the sky. So I had a nice, I was tucked up and I was sailing it. I saw as soon as I took off, I knew I'd made it. So
Happy days.
touchdown on the other side.
Then you relaxed in the shows.
Then after that, you got
No
about
adrenaline
a 15
whatsoever.
second flat
Yeah.
into these really technical turny section. And I'd been skiing Shazlado right, coming in at 120 Ks an hour. And then on race day, having jumped the camels with 15 Ks an hour extra speed, I came in at 125, 130 Ks an hour and nearly went straight in the fence. I'm just, whoa!
Dumped all the speed he
Just
won.
came-
Yeah.
It came at me so fast. I was completely screwed up the next technical section, but it was it was a ride.
It was
It
fun.
was a rush.
Yeah.
That's so cool. What'd the coach say afterwards?
So after,
Did he
so I'm
come
down at
round?
the bottom, so he came down and Yarn, he had a mannerism to him, sort of weird laugh,
There's a smell in his
and
fingers.
he's just come down, and I
Always.
just saw this pair of boots walk up to me,
That's funny.
and I feel a pat on my back, and he goes, Steve, that was fucking incredible. So
Yeah.
nervous. I was so nervous.
Sick.
I said, why were you trying to talk me out? He said, I was so nervous for you that you wouldn't make it, that you'd just be smashed to smithereens.
That'd be it.
And I was his team, and it was an Olympic year. And if I got hurt, he wasn't going to the Olympics either. So he said, I was nervous for you, that you wouldn't make it. He said, I will never
That
doubt
is
you again.
That's a crowning moment,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's
He said,
so
I will
sick.
never doubt you again. Whatever you want to do on a World Cup, I will back you 100%. He said,
Awesome.
because that was incredible.
Wow. So you got the clout in
got
the end.
tick.
I
So
love
he said
that.
he said it was so amazing watching all these skiers come past, sort of looking down, and then whoever jumped, he said, you just went by, and he said, you were up by the clouds. He said, you sailed past.
That's so epic.
Did anyone else?
So
commit?
Uli jumped that year, and Gary Athens and myself.
Only
Three,
three,
yeah.
yeah.
Only three out of
How many in the
140 guys in the race.
140?
That's awesome.
In the top
So
1% of
Uli
biggest
jumped it the year
balls.
before. He was the
Yeah.
first guy to ever jump it. Then the second year, Uli, Harv, and myself jumped it. And then it was such an high section, it took out Bill Johnson, the famous American racer, broke his back on the camels.
Well, come up short.
That's after
Yeah.
winning gold at Sarajevo.
Yeah, it was the next year. He was undecided and kissed the third one and broke his back. And this big young Italian kid, Piantonita, who ended up finished his ski racing career. He went off sideways and landed sideways on the third one and hit so hard it stopped his heart beating.
Holy.
So he had to be revived on the side of the hill.
So there's consequences.
Yeah, clearly. Wow,
Yeah, it
that's
was literally
insane.
like-
So two and then done. Two and done.
Jimmy signed it, so if everyone worked out it's the fastest way to do it. So a lot of people were attempting it and failing. Must have wiped out probably 10 or 15 World Cup skiers in the course of two seasons.
Season it.
Did they just remove that part of the
Yeah.
course? Or?
No, they ended up modifying. So they ended up shaving
couldn't-
down,
yeah.
shaving
So you couldn't
down
send
one
it.
of the jumps and and then they actually built it like a
Yeah.
A launch.
Like a
launch
take-
pad,
yeah.
So you could see where the takeoff point was.
Yeah.
And then you didn't have to, you just could tuck straight through, and it was no brainer from then on, which I thought it was kind of fair enough, but it was a shame because it was one of the few
Pretty
areas
cool
of
to
World
etch your
Cup where
name
you
into that.
where you really had
Yeah.
to back yourself.
Yeah.
And if you couldn't, you'd have to take the slow way and
Not gonna
just
beat anywhere near
Self-belief
the
lose
top.
or
a second and a half.
revival
So it
on
was
the
one
side
those
of the
points in World Cup
course.
where it was like, if you're going to win it, you got to
Commit.
commit.
That's
Yeah.
He
Commit.
moved Steve Lee. So he could do that in downhill. He's also well respected at moguls level around the freestyle community, and basically just as one of the best all-round free skiers.
Yeah. Probably the only guy who throws darts really well front on.
Yeah.
Let
Looking
go.
like he's about to take on the camels.
Focus.
So that's a style. That's a style, which is, I know it's unconventional. My darts
It is unconventional.
But it's-
face onto the darts, not side on. So I learned to play darts in the pub Montfort in Verbier, in my
Course you
with my
did.
ski bum mates. And Switzerland beers were pretty expensive, so if you won on the darts board, you every game you played for a beer and a shot. So if you held the board, you'd spend the whole night and didn't spend a cent.
So you had to get good.
So you had to be good because if you didn't win, you had to buy the other 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
Maddie and I battled.
burn through those Swiss ranks pretty quick.
We battled Steve a lot in darts in
We
Falls
did
Creek.
battle a lot in darts.
Lots of
a
dart
Scottish
battles.
mate who I met there in Verbier. He was Colin Morrison, yeah, one of the probably the greatest ski bum of all time. He was a mad as a cat snake. We became really close friends. I actually employed him to be my personal trainer.
Cool.
He's just a bull. He was a really good skier. Grew up in Scotland and good sportsman, really naturally strong, but just loved lifting weights. Had no reason to lift weights and train, but he'd go and train every day just because he liked it. And
So cool.
I got to know him in Verbier and we became darts partners and that's how he stood. And
He was a fronty as well. He was a front-on guy as
Front
well.
on.
And so I just copied his style and I know
Worked for you,
we
mate.
had success with it. So it was spin all the English. He'd come there and they've got their world dart style, and we just used the pub darts and win every game. And
Epic.
it was a psychological thing, I think, that these guys couldn't believe we could hit the board standing front onto it. But
It suited you.
darts is 100% repetition. Once you do it, you do the same thing every time. You get good at it.
Good
Same
point.
as sporting activities like masturbation. Do it over and over again. You get good at it.
That's a sport.
Practice makes perfect, they say, Steve.
I think considering your style of skiing,
Once you work out how it works, you do it over and again. And it just keeps working.
I think considering your style of skiing, the front-on technique works well.
Yeah,
for
it
you,
was.
Steve.
So did
Everyone
you.
thought I did it because I was a skier.
That's definitely what we all assume,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
I mean, it is somewhat true as well.
Yeah, there's truth. There's truth.
So, Pete, when did you kind of jump off the tour and start making retail things? Where did that all change? And how did you and Steve still? Obviously, Steve's. You've supported Steve throughout his whole life. How did you guys work together? I know that Steve probably helped you a lot with reviewing products and everything. How did that journey kind of change from chasing Steve around to making retail?
Well, we did the Calgary Olympics together, and it was for me. That was the end of the road.
Yeah.
My back was done. And,
Pete was thrown in the deep end.
yeah, I was.
So he was a tech skier, qualified through the slalom GS, and then got to Calgary and was put in the downhill. And it was a gnarly downhill too.
It was
really,
hardcore.
Yeah, it was hardcore.
I had my Camel moment when because I came that top section under a second in, and I hit that net. I came into that net so much faster, and I just didn't make the adjustment, and bang, I hit the net. But anyway, so retiring's tough. Like retiring
it's really
at
tough.
24,
Fuck.
and it's like this is all I've done for the last 10 years of my life, and I've got to let it go. My father was a mad builder, and I felt like I was born to take his company over, which didn't really get me going because it was like, it didn't look like much fun. It was hardcore. I used to work for him all the time. He was the hardest taskmaster. And then my uncle was a mad hotelier. That
Sounds
was
more fun.
It was, and he wanted me to do hotels with him. And then I was going out with this girl called Ro, and I helped start the Rojo idea with them in 87, and we all wore their product. And actually, I really dug the relationship between athlete and product. And so I said, fuck it, I'm not going building or doing hotels. We're going to do Rojo with the girls. And that's really what I did. And I did the exports, grew that to kind of bigger than the Australian market, and then cut us in. And I don't know, one thing led to another, and it ended up being Joe and I owning it together. And Steve was just always so supportive, like whatever venture I went into.
Yeah. And then Pete went off, left Rojo and started XCM, and started off with these pretty rudimentary gloves. And the first XCM products were
a little bit basic.
very basic. But
Entry
then
level.
it grew and grew and grew, and he started making.
Now you've got not only one of the biggest boots, but one of the biggest catalogues at the SIA.
Yeah, there you
Big
go.
catalogue. What
excellent
don't
product.
you do? Yeah.
Wearing the XCM gloves and always giving feedback to Pete on the product and
Always.
encouraging to keep taking the next step. And you should start making some clothes. Good.
And then
Well,
Steve would start doing touring things. It was like he'd need uniforms, so we'd
Yeah.
always sponsor whatever.
I need backcountry stuff, Pete. Sort it out.
Yeah, it
yeah.
basically was, and it drove us
We
along.
need
to
bigger
make-
pockets.
Yeah,
Bigger pockets.
probably the one of the loveliest times of my life is coming over and witnessing Steve in action in Hakuba. Holding court with all these beautiful tours around the world.
Mm.
Guides coming to his place, and then him taking us out and teaching us how to tour.
In his element.
Oh,
Yeah.
mate, it was
Yeah.
incredible. And
Yeah.
then teaching us about the product that's needed, getting hot and cold. And we went back just so pumped to make that stuff. And, no doubt without Steve, we wouldn't be the company.
For those of us that got to ski Japan with Steve, we were
an amazing
pretty
achievement.
privileged.
And your support to the skiing community and the
What-
athletes still is.
What year are we up to now, Pete? Because we had a little celebration last year.
Yeah, 25 years
25?
last year, and this will be our 6th Olympics that we've sponsored.
Huge.
It's really cool.
We got the Valentino Gazzelli
It's our
t-shirt
first
here,
collab.
so doing
Like,
some cool stuff there with the team and some of the cool kids as well.
The baton's been handed over to the next generation. Jared, my middle son, 26, he's in sales along with Jules and Nickel Wiley's now running the company. And
Yes, there's no doubt who Jared's father is.
Correct. He's definitely
a chip off the old block.
following in his father's
the
footsteps.
company's in good
They
hands.
call him
Yeah.
Forras, don't they?
So
Yeah,
exactly. Means
Well, I have
Steve-
a photo in my phone of you, Shakash,
yes,
when you still had hair and you had a big Forras mullet, curly hair, and
possibly a little comb over kicking.
a little comb over starting to kick in there.
Holding on, just holding on.
Spitting image to
Oh,
your
yeah,
boys.
yeah.
Yeah, spitting image. Amazing.
Yeah, he does look like
Yeah.
a chip off the old block.
Yeah,
that's
he's a
for
chip
sure.
off the old block for sure.
But one funny thing that's happened through our lives. So Steve grew up in Cronulla. He's always surfed. I came to surfing later, then moved to Torquay down there to surf more. And we've been it's been the new replacement of adrenaline addiction that you get from downhill. And I found his, kryptonite in some ways.
Yeah.
I got into toe surfing and I got Steve out like I'm
My nearest ever death experience was
10 to 15 foot.
Bells, yeah.
And he was
Jesus.
so heavy to get out, and he'd never toe surf. So we're fucking around trying to learn out in 10 to 15 foot bells how to get him out of the water. I finally get him out, and I'm going, all right, he's going, oh, I'm out. And I can see this huge set coming. And I'm going, I'm not risking not getting him on one of these. But in my excitement, I got him on the first of a 4-wave set. And
Oh,
he ripped
no.
He ripped it. As he kicks off, he's just got
The next
set-
three
got
landing
hammered
onto
by three, yeah.
I thought I'd killed Steve
Yeah.
Lee. I
So
thought
I take off in this huge wave and it's like
That is
the
hectic.
face of it's like a 10-story building moving in front of me now.
oh, mate,
Takes
so good.
hauling us down the line, then it closes out in front of me, so I had to turn around
Kick
and head
out,
towards the
yeah.
beach. And I'm on this little toe surfboard which don't float with a I think we had a
4-3 on.
buoyancy
Yeah.
have a vest on.
But the buoyancy vest ended up ripping off underwater, so I couldn't dive under the waves, the white water.
Oh, mate.
I mean, I've come off skis at 130 clips now. It's pretty violent thing.
3
Getting
10-foot bells in a
smashed by
row.
Getting the impact zone.
Yeah, when you can't breathe.
Yeah, big hold downs, but just the violence of being underwater.
Just getting washing machine, yeah.
I just remember my legs and arms almost being ripped off. And then I'm down underwater and I come up and I'm a strong swimmer. And in this buoyancy vest, I remember just bobbing in the ocean as another one's coming towards me. I couldn't dive under him. So in the second one, I was down for the third one and I'm getting rolled around underwater. And I just unzip this thing and just rip the fucking vest off.
That's crazy.
And he goes, mate,
Get
How
me the
about
fuck
I-
out of here.
how about I drive and you surf? And then so he then takes me over to Jarrah's side and he grips me into the biggest wave I've ever surfed in the
Which
local
is
area.
maybe where we should have started with me.
Hindsight, whatever.
Stitched up.
Time, so.
Gents, I think we could bloody absolutely talk all day. Steve, congratulations on an awesome career.
Thanks, man.
It was awesome to hear some of your stories. And yeah, you were definitely in your element, testing products in Hakuba there. Big
Still on
smile your
Enigma.
face every day.
Yeah.
He came in and I helped him mount up his skis. Got any more spare bindings? Unorganised and just frothing. Pete, congratulations on a big milestone last year. It's awesome to see you open up the concept store in
Huge.
Torquay and supporting amazing industry.
Yeah.
You guys are absolute legends, and there's definitely room for another episode because we could sit here and talk until tomorrow.
Yeah,
So,
incredible custodians of the Australian snow industry, and I think we'd love to chat
Yeah, it was
some
good-
more
it
for
was
sure in
good
due
time.
course because
We
this
had a
could
good-
go on for a long
Time doing it was a lot of hard work and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Years left for us.
Still a few years, yeah.
Thank you for doing what
Yeah,
you do
thanks, fellas.
and being absolute bloody legends. And
paving the way for the rest of us.
No friends on a powder day, not
Yeah.
no friends on a power day in
There's
Steve
no
Foras.
friends on a
Only
powder day.
friends.
It's pretty good being friends with Steve Lee on a powder day though in Japan. So come on, we had some wicked days. Yeah.
Thanks,
Playing
legends.
some nice untracked stages.
Yeah.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Those fancy clothes and car. Kia Bamba sound, you know them are the champion. Micah and Killer be a monsters. Them have tunes and have dubs and have flows like nobody knows. Them kill sound, a sound clash and dancehall and mash up stage shows. But some guys don't realize, I recognize that them have their own style. A long time them they know them not just come, and it's been a long while. Can't keep them waiting or anticipating. If you this your sound will get slow. Selector Killer B and Mike and a run for kill selector. Them no business at all. Them not commit no dirty act fi fill up them dub box. And them definitely not kiss no ass. They will take the long way, you can't lead them astray. Cause them in a year one class. Hear me now, them drive people crazy. Mashing up dancehall parties and stages. As a big sound they have been enough places. Sign up autograph enough righteous ladies.